general sense, but
Yeah.
I'm curious if specifically what are the specific lessons, if there are some, that are the things that you
Low man, understanding who is the low man, sinking, pretty much any sort of team defense concept that's pertinent to modern NBA basketball. I learned from Stan. I think I've always been this way, but he reinforced it just in terms of always being the person who looks in the mirror first and self-assessing at any stop, whether that's after a game, after 5 games, at the midway point, after a season, whatever it is. It's always sort of you do a self-assessment first, and you take responsibility for yourself before you even begin to think of anyone else. He's to a fault at sometimes. I think he's so hard on himself because he does that so well. And so I think that reinforced that characteristic in me. And I think just in terms of, intangibles, characteristics that, I think any, NBA player should have, I think he taught me those things and reinforced those things in me. Professionalism, accountability, playing sort of hard in the same way every game, not taking any nights off, all that stuff. Because he lives that. I see how hard he works, how much he invests in his craft, and so as a player that plays for him, you really have no choice but to do the same.
Did you always have a good feeling for Stan, even though you weren't? Yeah, I think the minutes went down when he.
Yeah, I played less my second year. It's funny because it's the only time really. There's been 2 times in my life where I assumed something. The first time was after my freshman year at Duke. I assumed that I would be better my sophomore year and that I would be in line for sort of Player of the Year awards and whatnot. And then the other time was after my rookie year. I probably assumed I was going to play more. It was just the assumption was that I would take a next step. And those are the only 2 times in my life where I've ever assumed something and without putting in the necessary work. And so that first year with Stan was tough, but again, it was sort of a self-assessment. I think halfway through the year, I just said we're going to win 50-plus games. We're going to be a top 3 seed in the East. Maybe it's something that I'm doing. Maybe it's not Stan. So
you came up with that on your own before talking with Stan.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing was like at the end of my second year, I played 34 games. I think I averaged 8 minutes a game my second year, and then going into that summer, we drafted Courtney Lee, and then we signed Mikal Pietrus, and so. To me, it was like, any chance I had now is just, they're just every, transaction they make is at my position. So, but somebody said to me that summer, they just said like, well, be better, be better. So that was that year, that third year was sort of the stepping stone for me in terms of my personal development, my career, and just gaining confidence that I could stick in the NBA.
I believe you said this on the Vertical podcast with JJ Redick, but that approach of kind of, I don't know, you kind of control what you can control and stuff like that, and not assuming going into contract season, has that been kind of in your mind? Seriously?
I think for me, I talked about it a little bit, prior to the season, just in terms of never assuming, there's no assumption on my part that I'll have a job next year. I think that's a stupid assumption to make. So, on one hand, there's what you're doing for the team, and those are probably the majority of my thoughts is, how am I helping the team? How am I not helping the team? What can I do better? What can I continue to do? What can I control? You can't control shots. You can't control makes or misses. So, what are the other things that I can control? You think about those things, and then the rest. Hopefully, you'll have a job.
I work in newspapers, so I know nothing about job security. So, or insecurity, I should say. I'm just rock solid. Rock solid.